Hey folks, Easy Rider here. Welcome to my next video. Today I want to give you some tips and tricks on how to set up and install heat crash bars on a 2019 Honda Africa Twin. Stay with me. And welcome back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around in a bit and show you the steps on how to get the heat bars on. Save you a little bit of time and aggravation. The instructions are translated from Polish and they're somewhat readable, but took me altogether about 4.5, 5 hours. I take my time when I work and put this thing all together. It's not hard, it's just time consuming. First probably 45 minutes or so is going to be unpacking the whole thing. When you send away to Poland, it'll come here in a couple weeks in a big box, and each part is wrapped in bubble wrap and pipe kind of insulation, so it takes a while to get all that crud off the bars. And then what I did is I used the box on the floor and spread everything out so I can find everything easy. That makes it a lot simpler. Comes with all the bolts that you need, and pretty much everything you need is in the box. So alright, I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you kind of step by step what you need to do and make your life a little bit easier. Stay to the end, you may learn something. You low attention people, just stop the video now and just make a mess out of everything. Oh God, you may hear me moaning and groaning a little bit. I twisted my knee falling off this bike in a mud hole the other day. That's probably why it's a little bit dirty. Anyway, first thing we need to do is take off the skid plate. There's 2 screws underneath, right over there. Take them out. Take the screw over here out, and then on the other side is a pin. You slide it out and take the skid plate off, put it somewhere out of the way. You're not going to need it till the end. Then the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to put this bracket right here on. The bracket has those 2 bolts right there. You take the 2 bolts that are already in there, that kind of holds up your fairing, and then you put the bracket on and those 2 bolts. The bottom nut over there seemed to stay on, and the one above it was loose. I don't know if that's on every bike, but that's one thing you'll have to contend with. When you put the bolts through those holes, you're going to have to lift up. I used my shoulder to lift up on the fairing a little bit to line those holes up. You want to make sure those holes are lined, because if you try screwing it in while it's crooked, you're probably going to strip the bolts, and there goes a whole lot more time on your hands. Put them in hand tight. The top nut, getting your hand in there is a little tricky, so if you twist the handlebars towards the right, you be able to get that bolt in there pretty easy. The other thing down here, let me show you here while I'm here so I don't have to bend down again. This isn't a bracket, but this is where the bars will connect on. You notice that they give you a spacer right there. You got to put that spacer in that side, and it's all pretty easy, self-explanatory. Get around, like I said, you're gonna hear a lot of moaning and groaning on me. And on the other side, there's this bracket down here, and this is where trouble comes in. Well, you got this bracket up here, which was pretty simple, and the bracket down here. Oh Lord! This guy right here, right behind the tailpipe right here, are 2 bolts, and those boogers are on at about 100 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, it takes serious strong arm to get those suckers loose. You're going to have to drop the muffler. You're going to have to drop the whole tailpipe from the front to the back. Now that tailpipe up there is pretty darn heavy, so what I did, since I worked by myself, is I used my stool to kind of prop it up. Now you don't want to drop it to the ground, because right down in there, you have your oxygen sensor, and you do not want to tear the wires out of that. And I did not feel like digging through there to figure out where the heck that thing's connected to. So you only need to drop it down a couple inches and to get that sucker out of there. There's also Oh, there's another bolt somewhere on there. Where was it? That held this part of the pipe up. It was one of these things. But anyway, you have to, oh God help me. Have to loosen the bolts. Those nuts right there. These nuts, you have to loosen both of those up, take them off, and you have to pull the pipes out of the exhaust port on both sides. You have to pull them both out so that this thing will drop down. Now, when you're putting it all back together again, get all the bolts in loose, but you tighten the front to the back. If you don't, you'll do what I did, and you'll have a whole lot of muffler noise coming, or exhaust noise coming out of there. You want to tighten these first all the way to the back. Another little trick or tip is when you put those acorn nuts back on, I don't know if you can see them in there, those acorn nuts, put a little dab of anti-seize, high temp anti-seize on it, on the threads, so next time you ever have to do that, a couple years down the road, those acorn nuts ain't welded to those exhaust studs. You break an exhaust stud and guess what, you just made a whole lot of work for yourself. So a little ounce of prevention. And while we're at it, if you ever get a chance, these screws that hold on your fenders and stuff, they love to, after a couple of years, to get welded in there through rust and corrosion. A little dab of anti-seize, put them back in, and save you a whole lot of headache on down the road. Anyway, that bracket there is pretty much a real pain in the butt to get into. Like I said, drop the muffler, use a big old ratchet, and you should be able to get that on and off. Now, we're going to leave all the bolts pretty much loose till we get everything together. And the rest of it, you know, it's pretty simple. Oh, God, hang on. Ugh, snap, crackle, and pop. Sucks getting old, people. And the only other bracket on this guy is right here. This is a part of the kit, and it goes through the hole that's in there, and then this piece comes in through the back, and you got to put a bolt on from back there, so it wasn't too hard. Once you get everything together, and all you have to do is simply tighten everything down. I don't have any torque, things for the bolts, torque specifications, so I kind of tried to remember how it felt taking the bolts out, to put the bolts in, and I just use that as a gauge. You may, after a couple rides, want to retorque everything. I don't think it's all that important, the torque specs on this stuff right here. Anyway, or unless you're, real anal about it, then find out the torque specs and do it yourself. This right here connects here. Some people bitch and moan that this doesn't seem to line up as good. It's about, here's what it is, whatever. I also put the headlight guard on. That was pretty simple. I ain't bending down again. My knee hurts too bad. But it just bolts a couple, there's a couple screw holes already underneath there that you put the bolts through, and then right to here, bing, bing. Be careful you don't push these little things that goes into your fairing, and then you have to tear the whole son of a gun apart again. Other than that, it's all pretty simple. Like I said, it took me about 5 hours, but I work pretty damn slow. The biggest thing is having that big-ass freaking muffler. There's got to be about 25 pounds worth of catalytic converter in there, because it's heavy as hell. And anyway, like I said, I propped it up with a stool. Use whatever you got handy. And other than that, I really like them. I already dropped it on the other side. It was in mud, so it wasn't, a real heavy drop. But these are just, they got 4 points of contact on these things. It's real thick metal, real good welds on it. I got the ones with the bags. I got the extra bags for them. And I really like them. I think they're great. The only probably downside is to get at the air cleaners and stuff and take the whole fairing apart, I'll probably have to pull these bars out, but that you don't have to mess with the brackets. All you got to do is pull out what you can see, and the whole bar will come right out. It shouldn't be too hard. Once you got it all in there, it's not going to be all that hard. Anyway, you got any questions? I know I kind of skimmed over a lot, but that's kind of the workflow. Just use the workflow that the instructions, only like one-page instructions. Like I said, it's hard to read, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The hardest part is dropping the muffler, that's pretty straightforward. Just, you know, you'll see where all the nuts and bolts and stuff are on it. There's one way back there. I know there's another one, but I can't remember where it was. But anyway, there's another one. It's not all that hard to get to. It's pretty simple. But anyway, yeah, that muffler weighs a ton, so you got to support it. Anyway, hope that helps. Got any questions, feel free to drop them down underneath. I really like them. I know some of you guys are like, oh, Alt-Rider's better, and oh, blah, blah, SW Motec. Yeah, they also cost like 3 times as much. So, I mean, for the money, I don't think you can get any better than this. I mean, you can pay a lot, and some of you guys got the money, and, you know, you like the bragging rights of paying, you know, 3 times as much for shit. But that ain't me, brother. Anyway, hope this helps. Give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more of this kind of great content. Easy Rider out.